Welcome to Project 200, and today we'll be talking about learning and application. Learning, respond, application. A great leader values information. Information is a major resource in leadership. A great leader values information. Your leadership becomes effective information. Information is a resource for productive leadership. Also, I want to say this, that information is the currency of leadership. Information is the currency of leadership. A true leader understands how vital information is to his leadership. Learning is an attitude that must be cultivated by a leader. Learning. If a leader has no learning attitude, he cannot be productive in helping others. You cannot be productive in helping others when you don't have a learning attitude. Learning helps you to know where to make changes, which area of your leadership that needs a change. Through learning, you understand what to go for and what not to go for. Through learning, you understand what you should be going for and what you shouldn't go for. So if you're going to be a great leader, learning is a major aspect of what makes you an effective leader. There are a lot of people who want to become great leaders, but they have no time to improve on themselves. Not improving on yourself can affect how you respond to issues in your organization. Not improving on yourself can affect how you respond to issues in your organization. And because learning is a major part of your life as a leader, every great leader remains a student for life. Every great leader remains a student for life. This is the only way you can be able to know what to do, what to respond to, and what to focus on. If there is no passion for learning, it is an indication that you cannot be a leader on the cutting edge. If there is no passion for learning, so learning helps you to know how to commit yourself to resources. What resources am I to commit myself to? What project am I expected to commit my potential to? Through learning, you understand who to position where they should serve in the organization. If I'm not learning, it will be difficult for me to be able to handle the challenges of leading. If I'm not learning, I'll be able to respond to the challenges of leading. So a great leader understands that learning is the way to deploy potential. You cannot truly deploy your potential as a great leader if you don't have the culture of learning. So there are basic things we have to look. Being teachable is required in being an effective leader. Being teachable. We shouldn't get to a point where we said, I've known everything. Nobody knows everything. Nobody. If you truly want to be a great leader, don't think you know everything. If you're teachable, you will grow better. You will get better. If you're teachable, this is one of the first quality a leader have to cultivate, being teachable. Being teachable. Because when you choose to be teachable, it is easy for you to receive instruction. It's easy for you to receive inspiration. It is easy for you to receive understanding. It is also easy for people to share with you what they know about situations that you don't know. When you're not teachable, it will be difficult for people to tell you where the problems are. A great leader learns from his followers. You know why I said that? There are certain things the leader does not know, but they can lead the leader in that area of leadership. So a wise leader opens the door of learning, knowing it is the foundation for building effective leadership. The next attitude you have to cultivate if you're going to be a person who learns, be open to change. Don't be afraid that what you know will be criticized. Or someone can say that is not the right way to say it. I was reading scripture one day, then I pronounced a word. And when the meeting was over, my wife told me, you didn't pronounce that word right. So I looked at it, I said, yes. Then I learned from it. Just that you're the lead leader. And this is what makes leadership effective. What makes it effective is your ability to receive from others. And to receive from others, when I talk about receiving from others, it's not everyone you can receive. But there are people by relationship, you know they have your back, you know that they have your interest. They'll be able to protect the vision. So a great leader understands that change is a major thing he will experience as he provides leadership for people. And change can only be handled by learning. One of the ways you can handle change is when you choose to learn. That's one of the ways you can handle change, when you choose to learn, because no matter what the change in your job, in your business, or in ministry, or in any area, once you're a person who knows how to receive information, who have passion for learning, quickly you adjust. Quickly you will know where to go, what to do, and how to respond, because you have an attitude of learning. So, a proud leader, or a leader who felt he knows everything, will be a leader that will stop growing. So today we're teaching on learning, respond, application. How do you respond to learning? How do you respond to instruction, suggestion, and contribution? A great leader understands that suggestion can be a resource. A suggestion can change your leadership lifestyle, especially if the suggestion is an inspired suggestion. It can change everything about your leadership. Suggestion, instruction, correction. How do you respond to these things? This, as a leader, how do you respond to suggestion? Now, sometimes people could suggest something to you as a leader, but you know that was not what you're supposed to do as a leader. But that suggestion can lead you to thinking. That suggestion can lead you to thinking, and which is going to open door for strategy for changing things. Some suggestions that you don't need right now, you may need later. So a wise leader don't throw away suggestion, because this suggestion may not be it may not be needed in this very season of your life. This suggestion may not be needed in this very season of your life, and maybe this is not the season that this suggestion will work. Maybe in the nearby future, it will be needed. The way you handle the person who gave the suggestion, and that suggestion can lead to a feedback. In case you need a feedback, in case you want to reopen the conversation, you don't have an issue with pride, because when she brought the suggestion, or when he brought the suggestion, you treated them with so much respect and honor. So if you go back to ask them, you don't have a problem. But if you treated that suggestion with pride, and maybe you try to talk down on them, the possibility of needing that suggestion in the future may arise. Then you have shut the door of communication because of how you responded to the suggestion. So a wise leader is more willing to respond right. There is what is called right response. Right response. Sometimes someone can say something to me. I have to think about it. Some things I said, give me some time to think about it. In the course of thinking about it, I should be able to come up with solutions. I look at it from different perspectives. Who is a leader? A leader is a person who has the ability to look at things from different perspectives with a right sense of judgment, knowing what he should settle for. Looking at things from different perspectives with a right sense of judgment. That's a leader. He's looking at it from this perspective, and then he begins to judge them. You see, because your response has a lot to say to the people who submit to your leadership. Your response has a lot to say to people who submit to your leadership. So learning can also determine the attitude towards response. There are leaders that have a very poor response attitude. Training yourself to respond right is important, especially in the public, especially when you're part of a team. You got to train yourself to respond right. Because one thing people could easily notice about you is your attitude. When it comes, this lady's bossy, this lady's arrogant, this lady's not humble, this guy is not humble. They can also notice this guy is humble. He's willing to listen, he's willing to learn. Because if you're not willing to learn, you have closed the door of personal growth. If you're not willing to learn, you have just shut the door of personal growth. And personal growth is one of the key factors for providing healthy leadership. If you're not willing to learn, you have just shut the door to personal growth. Because your personal growth has a lot to do with what you can contribute to those who follow you or those who are being influenced by your leadership. So learning is a way of life. I try as much as I can to learn, to read, to study. I budget so much on reading. Because the job I do, I teach every day. I work every day. So I have to ensure that I am growing. You know, you're like a breastfeeding mother. If you're always teaching, you're like a breastfeeding mother. So if you don't eat well, you can breastfeed the baby. If you don't eat well, when the baby suck, you'll be dry. You will feel the impact because you never took out the time to feed yourself very well. So like a breastfeeding mother, you eat well, then the baby could suck as much as it can. Some children can suck 20 times a day, 15 times a day. You don't tell the baby, you can't suck now. Oh, you're wasting your time. Baby wants to suck. Where we came from, we used to suck for 1 year. Sometimes 2 years. Sorry to say that. It's not part of the teaching. So a lot of sucking is done. We are black people. Sorry to say that. You know, there are different types of black people. There are civilized black people. There are all kinds of black people. So, but I'm just trying to let you know what happened around here. So, if the mom is not eating well, she's going to feel the impact. Yes. So, that's the same way leader is. If a leader is not feeding well, it will show in his leadership. You will see these lapses because of his inability to handle things mentally. He's poor, and you cannot be an effective leader with a poor mentality. So you need to be rich mentally to be able to provide leadership for people. You need to be rich mentally. And being rich mentally simply means that I also have to open myself to learning, to study, to improving. As long as you're leading people, you have something to say to them, that you don't show up, but you're blank mentally. You don't need to be blank mentally as a leader. A leader should be able to think ahead of everyone. Your ability to think fast helps you to be able to make some adjustments and resolve some issues as a leader. Your ability to think fast, especially if you're in business, your ability to think ahead of the competition. If you're doing a business right now and there is no much competition in that business, maybe some people are about to start that business, competition will soon come. If you don't think ahead of the competition will swallow up the business. A lot of people's business was crushed by the force of competition. Especially that products have no substitute in the markets. That product is just a product and there is no substitute, and you're doing that kind of business, then you need to rise in your thinking as a leader. A leader thinks ahead of situations. So when we look at learning and respond, how you respond to conversation as a leader. How you respond to conversation has a lot to do with your maturity as a leader. How do you respond to conversation? How you respond to conversation? Because people want to know, what did she say about it? What was his take on it? Conversation. Leadership is within conversation. Conversation. Every instruction should come from the angle of positive conversation. You can be asking someone to do something, But the way you ask him to do it, he's more willing to do it because the conversation was not abusive. You were not like trying to boss them. People don't want another boss. They want another leader. You're not trying to boss them. You're not trying to like control them. But while you spoke, they understood that this was a right conversation. And this is how you take your leadership from one dimension to the other, because every great leader must understand the power of conversation. Because there is so much energy in conversation. You may be saying what is right, but how you said it can ruin everything. You can be saying what is right, but how you said it. It's not just what you said, it's how you said it. The how you said it should be able to come in such a way that your hearer doesn't have to be considering many intentions. The one listening to you shouldn't be able to be considering many intentions, what she's trying to say. Is she trying to say this? Is she trying to say this? Is he trying to say this or that? So you don't put your listener in a position where they're trying to come up with a thought that may have not been in your heart. But because the conversation wasn't smooth, you're opening door for imaginations. And these imaginations have the potential to create distraction because the conversation was not clear. So clarity in conversation helps to bring direction to those you speak to as a leader. Being able to manage a conversation opens the door for greater possibilities. Being able to manage a conversation. So as you rise in leadership, one of the key things you need to understand is that learning shouldn't stop. Walk towards your response and start doing application of the things you have learned. Application is so vital when it comes to leadership. You are not a great leader except you do the applications of the things you teach. You're not a great leader because you have people around you. You're a great leader because of how your relationship with those people is helping the organization to achieve their goal. You're not a great leader because you have so many people around you. You are a great leader because you are utilizing the relationship. Because in one of our classes, this period 200 is relationship and leadership. The leadership all get better when it is relationship-based leadership. Where you boss a person. And what makes people to be effective is a relationship-based leadership. A leadership that is based on relationship. We are friends. We are members of the same ministry or work in the same organization. So I came to give you the instruction. I said, well, this is what we're doing today. This is how we're going to do it. And because we have relationship, we have respect for each other. We have honor for each other's potential. We value each other. So such kind of leadership achieve more results than when you try to be the head over people. Don't know if you get what I'm saying today. So people want a relationship leadership. And relationship leadership has so much synergy, it causes the organization to accelerate. Because we are together, we know who is the leader, but the leader has put it in a way that everyone in this organization is a leader. So we use relationship to achieve goals, then using position to push goals forward. So there is a lot of paradigm shift on leadership right now. It's not about trying to boss people or trying to head people, is about relationship with the people and using the relationship to achieve the goal of the organization. Using the relationship to achieve the goal of the organization. You know, when we use relationship, in relationship, we are free to say what we want to say. We are free to express our mind. We are free to say things because it's a relationship. But when it comes to a boss and a staff, or let's put it this way, a master and a servant, you know, there is a master and a servant relationship. What Jesus came to do was a relationship leadership. A relationship leadership. That was why he said, go ye into the world. He didn't say he will go. He said, you go. Because he has trusted you with leadership. He said, go ye into the world and preach the gospel, because he trusts you with leadership. He said, go ye into the world. So he has seen it as a relationship leadership. And that was why I said, if the spirit that raised Jesus from the dead dwells in you, he will quicken your mortal body. Relationship. So that's not our teaching today, but this is the teaching that will come up in the nearby future when we talk that, when we come to that class, we'll be able to share a lot of things. So we're looking at learning, response. Now, your response sends a message to people. People could read your body language. People could read the language on your text. You know, text has language. Text, the text message has a language people don't know. So when you are in leadership, you don't just pick your phone and just text whatever you want to text people, because your text represents you. So it's not just the text, it is you. It is you, and poor representation of you is a minus on your reputation and trust rating. A poor representation of a leader is a minus on his trust rating. People will be able to look at you and say, I trust him. I trust her. One of the greatest currency of leadership is trust. That's one of the greatest currency. If you have trust, you have everything. I'm telling you. If you have trust, people can go to sleep and allow you. Doors can just open for you if you have trust. Trust is so powerful, very powerful. It's, you know, if you can be trusted, your promotions will come rapidly. Your promotion. Doors will open. People are quick to introduce people to you because they could trust you. Not having trust means not having opportunities and possibilities. So trust is the seed that attracts opportunities and possibilities. Unknown to most people, they think that being gifted is what attracts opportunities and possibility. But the truth of the matter is, if you're gifted, but you don't have trust, people will find it out and they will pull backward. So how has your gift helped them when they can't rely on the gifting? Because it's not enough to be gifted, but if there is no trust, you can win loyalty. Loyalty is a product of trust. People become loyal to your leadership, loyal to you as a person, because they can trust you. So, and trust comes from learning. Why did I say this? Did you know why Joseph couldn't sleep with the wife of Potiphar? Not because his manhood was dead, not because he has a psychological problem, not because he wasn't a full-grown man, but because there are so so many factors involved. Joseph was considering his vision. He considered God. Number 2, he considered his vision. Number 3, he considered his lineage. Number 4, he understood that he was here to represent the kingdom of God. And Joseph walked away from that woman because he has learned how to define purpose. He has also learned how to magnify purpose above pleasure. Most things that people call pleasure is slavery. I said most things that people could call pleasure, I said what? It is slavery. They enslave themselves. They enslave themselves. So a wise leader understands that learning is a major culture, because Joseph understood that, hey, I'm a generational leader. Who is a generational leader? He's a kind of leader whose influence goes from generation to generation as a result of his contribution in his generation. I said a wise leader is a leader whose influence goes from generation to generation as a result of his contribution to his generation. Because of the contribution he made in his generation, that contribution became a legacy that became an inspiration to people. Now, this legacy have turned to influence and inspiration that is impacting the lives of people positively from one generation to the other. From one generation. So let's take, for instance, there is a man of God they call E.W. Kenyon. E.W. Kenyon is a very great teacher. And he's called the father of new creation realities. And Kenyon has gone home to be with the Lord very long time. His materials influenced people like Kenneth Hagin, a lot of great men of God that were influenced by the writings of E.W. Kenyon. His influence have gone from generation to generation. The things he taught, the things he said, he has provided leadership for the majority of people who have a passion to preach a message of faith. Now, maybe in his generation, his voice was not loud. There are things that grow with time. You know, sometimes you're making this investment, you're doing this, and maybe that generation was not really the generation that would pick that message. Then the next generation came, and that same message exploded. And this is why it's important to understand that whatever you're doing has different seasons. Most people don't know this, that the things you do have different seasons. There are different seasons of ministry. I'm telling you, there are different seasons of ministry. There is a season that look like, okay, you're making all the effort, but you're not like seeing the results you want to see. You're putting all the best. I remember when we started the Finish Rock TV, and one time Denzel was telling me, oh, Pastor, we're talking about the viewership. It wasn't like as it is today. But you see, with our patience, we are seeing the viewership increase. There are things that don't happen the first 4 years, the first 5 years. And this is what get a lot of people distracted. If they are doing something and maybe they didn't get the kind of response they want to get, they felt like, well, it's not going to work out. Most things take roots. Great things take roots before they bear great fruits. Don't forget this. Great things take roots before they bear great fruit. Great things, anything that will be great, will take root first. And the root taking is a very challenging season. The root taking is a very challenging season for a leader, and this is why it's important that in leadership, you don't compare yourself with other people. You got to be wise that you don't say, okay, this person is doing this, or this person is doing that, or we are trying to do it, but we can't do it. Don't say that. Your focus is not to compare yourself with what others are doing. Your focus is to compare yourself with what God have asked you to do. That's a leader. It's not to compare yourself with this person or compare yourself with that person. It's to compare yourself with what God have asked you to do. This is where a lot of people are depressed, frustrated, because they want to be like the next person without knowing that they don't have that calling. They don't have the person's charisma. They don't have the person's charisma. They don't have the person kind of ability to do things, and they want to do it. I'll be a funny person if I go trying to teach like any other person. Maybe I started hooping, to hoop. I can't do it. That's not what I'm asked to do. That's a lot of stress on my part. I could preach, but for me to begin to sing and hoop and do those things that some people do, that's not within my calling. I like talking to people and they're listening and they're taking notes, and we'll pray for them. The power of God gets to them. Imagine I came right now and start shouting at you. Hey, Shamin, do you know what I'm talking about? Oh, Shamin. Oh, Denzel, what can you think about this? What you know? Martina, you don't. I know. Oh, my God. Someone will say, who got him off the hook today? Some people go to God and they whoop at God. They whoop at God, seriously. But they can't, if they're invited to talk with the president or with the governor or with the commissioner, they are very quiet in the government office and talk to the person where the person could listen. But church folks could do a lot of wonderful things. I'm sorry to say this. But church folks could, when it comes to God, oh my God, I just wonder what's wrong with her. Does she have a problem, or does she have an issue? So we, people, some people feel like if they don't do it that way, they can't get anybody's attention. So it's important that you respond right. So you don't have to do what other people are doing. You got to do something that is within your personality and your calling. And that is where you see your strength and your uniqueness. You're unique as a person. You're unique as a leader when you're able to do things in the direction of your God-given potential, God-given assignment, and you're able to bring it to a clarity. People are able to understand it. Some people, they are talking, they are teaching, but you're not hearing them because they are so fast, that you don't hear the last thing they said. You're trying to process it. So when you are a leader, your mission is to make people understand what you're trying to say. What is the essence of me saying 100 things when you don't understand 5? What is the essence of saying so many things at the same time, but you need to understand any of those things? This is where a lot of people are not growing. Because a lot of people like to go to churches where they get excited. They think that church is excitement, but they got excited, but they were not transformed. Excitement is not transformation. That you're excited doesn't mean you know what to do. Oh, I'm excited. I'm excited. And after 3 hours, the excitement is gone. So what do I do? What do I do? So a leader must be able to help people to understand helping people to understand. So your passion is to help them get it. Help them get it. There are certain things I want you to understand, that when you have the right knowledge, doing application will not be difficult for you as a leader. When you have the right knowledge. So respond, we're talking about learning, respond, and application. Your body is part of your respond. Your body language is part of your respond. Has somebody ever spoken to you before and you just felt like they were not happy with you? But they never told you that they are not happy with you. But what they said means they are not happy with you. They never told you they are not happy with you. But in their tune, they were not happy with you. So your tone is also part of the communication. It's part of the way people can know either you're for them or you're against them. So learning is so important. So learning and respond. Now, one of the things I want to talk about application, it takes discipline to apply what you have learned. It takes discipline to apply what you were taught. Whatever you have learned, it takes discipline to apply it. It takes discipline. If you are not disciplined as a leader, you cannot do right application. When the scripture said in Deuteronomy 28 verse 1, it said, if you hearken to the voice of the Lord your God, he said he will set you on high above all the nations of the earth. Now, what he was talking about is that the application of God's word has a word. The application of God's word has what? Has a reward. There is a reward for being a doer of the word of God. So application, you do application based on purpose. There has to be clarity of intention, clarity of purpose for you to do application. Now, if I'm talking to, I communicate to people based on different meetings. Someone said something, is it 2 weeks ago, 3 weeks ago? He said, I think she was watching me in the conference, and she said that the way I teach on the scope and in our own local church and in the Zoom is different from the way I preach from that conference. It's the audience has the potential to determine communication. Audience. There's a place I will get to right now. Then you will turn and say, is this Apostle Faithman? I don't think. No. I've not heard him talk this way. I've not heard him speak this way. It's the same me. It's just the audience. Because why are you trying to speak ahead of someone? If I have college professors seated for class, maybe they want to learn leadership from me, they are college professors. The way I'm going to do my speech will be quite different. Because you teach people based on their level, then you help them improve on their level. If I'm talking to someone who is not illiterate, who is not well schooled, there is how I do the presentation. Some people came to our local church and they said, well, we like the way you preach, but we don't, the grammar, the way you speak, we can't really flow. This kind of place is meant for elites, for people who are more educated. And they were very much educated. They left. I wasn't offended. You see, as a leader, you need to know your audience. As a leader, you need to know your audience. There are people who watched me and they said, well, I like the way he teaches. But there were other things they expected me to do which is not within the practice of my ministry. There are things I can't practice because I don't have the scriptural proof for it. Do you know that people can make you mold a golden calf for them? And that was why, if you heard, when God was talking to Saul, you know what Saul said? He said, the people made me to do it. Have you heard that from Saul? Saul said, the people made me to do it. Remember Aaron? Aaron talked about people. People made me to mold this golden calf. So people can make you miss God. If you're trying to please people, you'll miss God. And if you're trying to please God, you will not miss people. You may lose some people, but you will not lose everyone. Because there are people who want you to do the will of God. But if you're trying to please people, you miss God. And missing God means missing a major part of your life. What else do you have left after God is gone? What else? Nothing. Everything goes dark. A man was in my home today. He was talking to me. You know, I used to go to their church many years ago to do Bible study in their church. I did that Bible study in their church for more than 5 years. I was doing Bible study. So the man loved the teaching so much. So life got better for him. But after a while, I wasn't going to that church. He was feeling the absence of the teaching. So then he came and said, do you know that since you aren't coming anymore to our local church, I felt this emptiness. He said, people come to teach, but I'm not well fed. Because he's so hungry for God's word. I don't know if you've been hungry for the word of God and you're just looking for someone that will bring the word of God. You've been listening to so many people, but then you just listen to this person and, hey, you are well fed and you want to go more to have more of that. So a leader do application based on purpose, application of right information, application of right instruction. So when an instruction comes to you as a leader, the first question you have to ask is, how important is this instruction to the growth of this organization? How important is this instruction, this information? How important it is to this organization? Because if this organization is not growing based on these instructions we're applying, that simply means we have to stop it. Because a great leader should be progress-minded. I want to say it again. I said a great leader should be progress-minded. A great leader should be progress-minded. Am I making progress as a result of this application? Because if you're making application of something and you're not making progress with that application, it is an indication that you're not growing. So a great leader should ask himself this question: how does the application of this instruction help the organization to go forward? Because every instruction should be able to help you to get better. That's a leader. Every instruction should help you get better. So if the instruction is not helping you get better, it is an indication that you don't have to apply that instruction, because it's not helping us to grow. It's not helping us to help other people. It's not helping us to stay focused. It's not helping us to achieve the organizational goal. So learning, response, application is a major part of the life of a leader. A leader must be a student for life. A leader must enjoy learning as a major part of his leadership responsibility, to assimilate information, to receive information. A leader must learn to respond according to the vision of the organization. Your response should be based according to the vision. If I respond contrary to the vision, I'll get into trouble. If I respond contrary to the vision, I'll get into trouble. There are certain things we can't do in this ministry, not because we don't want to do it, because it's not going to help us to project the vision right. It's not just doing something, it's doing something that is consistent with the values of your organization. It's doing things that are consistent with the values that helps the vision, because so many people have vision, but they have no values. This is so important because values strengthens vision. The life of the vision is in the values that governs the vision. The life of a vision, so you will have a very great vision, but if you don't have the values that will help this vision to make progress, that simply means there won't be progress. Glory to God. So as a great leader, don't stop learning. And one of the ways we learn is by asking questions. One of the ways we learn is by asking questions. Questions opens door for information, opens door for understanding. There are things you won't understand until you ask questions. How do you do this? How do you do that? How are you able to manage this? So a great leader asks questions, because as you ask questions, it will open up things to you that you are not aware of. It's going to lead you into a different direction to produce results. A lot of people are where they are because they don't ask questions. They feel like they know all. No, I don't know everything. I used to ask questions. I used to ask questions. How can I do this? How can I do that? What does it take to do this? Who knows how to do this? Who knows how to do that? I'm always asking these questions. You know why? When you ask questions, you free yourself from ignorance in that area. One of the ways you free yourself from ignorance in that area is when you ask questions. Because when you ask questions, knowledge comes to you. When you ask questions, knowledge comes to you in that particular area. Questions are major doorway to learning, understanding, and receiving of wisdom. Questions. So when you ask questions, it helps to reduce the level of ignorance in that area, because ignorance has a lot to do with, it has a price tag. Ignorance has a price. You pay so much for not knowing. You pay so much. Some people are paying so much for not reading a particular letter very well. They didn't read beneath the information. Many years ago when I was in a business school, they taught us something. They said, if you want to buy something, try to read what they wrote on it. The lecturer said, as it is. Maybe they are selling this, this remote. And this remote is going for, let's say, $50. That's what is being sold. Let's use that as illustration. And they wrote on it as it is. That word as it is has a lot to say. In case you buy it that is not working, you cannot return it. They already told you as it is. He said, but you never told me. But you're right. But you didn't read the paper. Oh, I didn't read that side. Who's going to pay for that ignorance? Who is going to pay for that ignorance? Who is going to pay for that? He said, as it is. They told you already. You didn't read the line. Learn to read things through as a leader. Don't sign things without reading them through. Don't be carried away by persuasion. Don't be persuaded to a point you don't face realities of situations as a leader. Some people are so persuaded that they never look into it and they felt like, well, I can do this. No. Okay. So when we learn, we know what to say, we know what to do, and we know what is expected of us. Great leaders appreciate knowledge because it is the root of great strength. Great leaders appreciate knowledge because it's the root of great strength. They appreciate knowledge. I appreciate knowledge so much. One said, assumption is the lowest form of knowledge. Assumption, some people just assume. We can't go by assumption. We need to have some fact. We need to know some things, how is this going? How is that going? And you're able to make progress. You don't make progress on assumption. You make progress with understanding and knowledge. You don't make progress on assumption. You make progress with understanding, knowledge, and wisdom. That's how you make progress. Wisdom, knowledge. Don't be ashamed to ask for help, especially when it comes to wisdom, understanding, and knowledge. Don't be ashamed to ask someone, do you know how to do this? Can you teach me? Can you help me? Don't be ashamed. Don't say, oh, if I ask them to help me right now to teach me, they will feel like they are more better than me. I'm not going to ask them. Ooh, who is suffering from the ignorance? You or them? So a wise leader does not consider all of these factors. He wants to learn. He wants to learn. I wouldn't have been able to teach the way I teach today if not for a series of learning, just keep learning. I had one teacher many years ago. He was a very funny man. Could slap you, could beat you. That's not allowed here. But there it was allowed. Was a very wonderful teacher. But one thing I learned from that process, I've seen leaders who are abusive. They abuse the people. That's not leadership. But what kept me that period talking with that fellow was the knowledge he has. So I said, I don't want to consider his character lapses. Let me get some knowledge from him. And when the time is okay, I'll be finding my way out of this place. He has knowledge, but abusive. How do you know a great leader? You have knowledge, but you're humble and broken. You're easy to go. You're a kind of leader that you're easy to go. You don't abuse people's loyalty. Loyalty is one of the greatest reward of a leader. You don't take people's loyalty for granted. Loyalty is one of the greatest resources of a leader. When you begin to lose the loyalty of the people, that simply means you're no more in leadership in the lives of those people. So loyalty, and you don't fight to get loyalty. You earn loyalty. You will earn it. You need to be a kind of person that you're able to, people give you loyalty willingly. Not that you're forcing people. This is what you're going to call me from today. You have to call me Pop. From today, you have to call me this. All kinds of stupid names people call themselves. All kinds of rules that people make for people. Sometimes ignorance in leadership can be one of the greatest devastation that have ever hit human history. I'm telling you. It's dangerous to be ignorant. You hear what I said? I said it's dangerous to be ignorant. Very, very dangerous. When people are ignorant, the way they front themselves and do things, and you be amazed. Why is she talking that way? Why is he talking that way? Who does he think he is? Then people start saying all manner of things because the person never carried himself the way he was expected to carry himself. Don't believe that you're up here and the people are done here. No, that's not leadership. That's why we're going to study relational leadership, relationship leadership, a leadership that is based on relationship, where we could talk, we could chat, but okay, can you fix this? Okay, can you do this? You know, it's more easy for you to work with people when you have relationship with them. But most people don't want relationship with the people. What they want from the people is their money and their skill to push their own vision forward. But that's not leadership. In true leadership, I want to know, how are you doing? How is everything with your family? How is your life going on? Are you getting better? Are you learning God's word? You try to relate to the people. In relationship, you have leadership. In relationship, you have leadership. That's where you have leadership, in relationship. Have you seen some staff in an organization that said, I'm not going to do it right, I'm going to do it anyhow, I don't care? Because they're not happy. They're not happy with the leader. But when you have a relational leadership, a relationship leadership with people, oh my God, they can do anything for you. Because they could feel your heart and they could feel your love and your care for them. Glory be to God. This is all I could do for this class today. Today is just day 1 of this class, and we have more 12 or 13 sections before we get done with this project 200. And I want to encourage you to, if you're watching this broadcast, you can subscribe to my YouTube channel. It's Faithman Teaching on YouTube. It's always interesting to hear from people telling us the testimonies, how the YouTube channel has transformed their life and helped them move forward. So I'd like you to subscribe to our YouTube channel. It's Faithman Teaching on YouTube. And also I encourage you to keep watching finishworktv.com. It's a place of inspiration, wisdom, and understanding. I believe that the knowledge of God's word has a lot to do with your future, with what you're called to do. And also you can consider partnering with this ministry. My passion is to help more people receive the engrafted word of God around the world. And you can consider partnering with us today on PayPal. It's faithmanteaching@gmail.com. faithmanteaching@gmail.com. And also, this project 200 is a leadership class, free leadership class. So we've done project 100, and this is a follow-up. So I want to encourage you to look for it on YouTube and keep watching. Thank you for being part of this beautiful class today. And I know you don't remain the same. And thank you for watching. Until the next broadcast, please don't forget this. There is greatness in you.